Let's see, people. Today we're going to talk about men's body language, okay? Now, first, let's bust a rumor, all right? Now, on the internet, women who are giving advice to men about dating, they keep saying that a man will face what he wants to fuck. These are her exact words, right? In so many different videos. I've also even seen men say it. I'm here to bust that rumor. Men do not always face what they want to ask, all right? Instead, male body language can be broken down mainly into two types, and there are lots of subtypes of these, but there are two types. There's inmate behavior, and there's civilized man behavior. All right, so inmate behavior is a man who may catcall, right? Catcall a woman on the street. Or let's use a scenario. As a man displaying inmate behavior goes over to his new girlfriend's house to meet her parents. And then if he likes the way her mother looks, if he's attracted to her mother, he will face her mother. And then he will face back to her. Now, regardless of whether a man is displaying inmate behavior or civilized man behavior, regardless of whether it's either one of those, when a man looks at a group of people or steps into a ring, his eye goes to the youngest first. His eye goes to the youngest female. Then, out of respect, he reorients the pointing of his toes. This is a very unconscious thing that he does. It's not something that he does on purpose unless he's some kind of Tony Robbins or something. But he will point his toe toward who he's most scared of. Sometimes that's the father. Sometimes that could be the youngest female in the room. Or any child, especially if he consumes caffeine. Watch episode 1 of the main show because we talk about how caffeine makes people feel we talk about how caffeine messes people up in the head. Now, when a civilized behavior type of man meets his new girlfriend's parents for the first time, then he will face her father, most likely. He will face her father out of fear, out of respect, and he wants to do well. The inmate behavior man is showing up loaded and doesn't necessarily feel he needs to do well. The civilized man is trying to do well with the parents. So men don't face what they want to get. It's actually the difference between inmate behavior men who will do that and civilized behavior men who will face the father out of respect or who is in charge, right? Yeah. Now let's talk about planters versus expressors. So this is something I call couch dynamics. Planters versus expressors. All right. When men sit down on the couch to watch TV in particular, especially, some men will plant their feet directly in front of them, like this, with their knees directly out if they're intellectual. Now, if they are a little bit tougher, they'll spread their knees apart further and brace, right? This. That's being a planter. Planters are mainly men. And so are expressors, but in a different way. Expressors may have felt at certain times in their life that being somebody who is shameless was a way of being masculine, whereas planters are a little bit more traditional, I would say. In some way, shape, or form. Yeah. How do expressors sit? Expressors sit with their feet out like this, and they cross their ankles. They extend their legs out and they put their ankles together. They may wiggle their feet once they get comfortable or relaxed. They may move their feet. And it doesn't necessarily mean they're more sensitive every time. That's not always the case. But expressors will extend their legs, or maybe they'll sit cross-legged. Expressors might sit cross-legged a lot of the time and be barefoot more often. Things like that, yeah. You can think of expressors as artists, and you can think of planters as jocks. Okay, so think of it that way. Now, when a man is finally settled in and watching a scene, everything is going fine in his world. until two things happen. One thing happens regularly on commercially. It's where it's showing something delicate. It could be weak people sweating, or it could be pharmaceutical ads or something, or an ad for a kid show or something, or an ad in Spanish or something. And the woman walks in, and what does she say? What does the woman say? The woman says, "What are you watching?" And no matter what, no matter how she says it, "Hey, what are you watching? What you watching?" It's always going to sound to the man like, "What are you watching?" It's always what it's going to sound like to the man. So he doesn't want to say something like, "I don't have a choice of what comes on commercial. I don't have a choice of what the TV show. I'm just along for the ride." He never explains himself, and so he just says nothing. I don't know what's on. It's just on. I'm just sitting here, right? Something like that is what he says instead. That can happen where the woman walks in and says, "What are you watching?" Or another thing could happen where you sit down with him to be with him while he watches TV, and he starts to deny that he remembers the name of anyone who's an obvious sex symbol in the show. Now, even if no one is that good looking, even if the show is Ice Road Truckers, even if they're all men, even, so he's going to understand the archetypes. It's just the way that the brain is. Even as children, even as babies, we understand the archetype of the doctor, the father, and the mother. We do recognize these when we pop out of the womb. These are called archetypes. So he's always going to know, no matter what show he watches, who's a sex symbol and everyone else is just not. So he'll deny that he remembers the name. He'll say, "What's his name? What's her name? What's his name? What's her name?" Oh, I don't even know. It's what's his name. But usually that could also mean that's his favorite character. But he doesn't want you to think that there's any kind of strange crush going on. What about it's a silly concern and fear, unless you're driven mad by living with a woman. Then it seems totally irrational. Well, to be concerned with these things after a while, yeah. Now, for the females, here's a tip. If you want things to go better when you're sitting next to him on the couch, watching TV with him, then before you sit down with him, don't just park right next to him right away and start snuggling. That may actually irritate him, even though he usually will not refuse you. Always enter with a snack or with a beverage. All right. So say something along the lines of, "Can I get you anything?" As if it's a restaurant, right? As if it's table theirs. "Can I get you anything? Are you hungry? Are you thirsty?" If you don't feel like doing something custom, like making a sandwich, if it feels like too much work, then just bring a box of cheese and a beer or something like that. I'm sure you won't turn that down. Anyway, that's what I call couch dynamics. Now, that's just some of my observations about men's body language. So I hope you enjoyed this. This has been a shoe into rock and roll. Thank you very much. Goodbye.